Hello again and welcome back to some climbing news. I have very few words for this intro, so let's just start the show. Okay, so Janja said Bibliographie. She freaking did it. She's been taking time off from the World Climbing Series in order to do it, and we're not even halfway through the season and she already put it together. It's her big goal, because, of course she did. When I started hearing rumors that Janja was trying this thing, it wasn't so much like a question of whether or not she'd do it. It was really more of a question of how quickly she'd be able to put it together. And, well, yeah, that was honestly pretty goddamn fast. So, Janja has just become the second woman to ever climb 9B plus 515C, the second hardest grade in the entire world, a grade that has only ever been achieved, like I said, by one other woman, Brooke Raboutou, who sent Excalibur a few years ago at this point, and only 11 men for a total of 13 people in the history of climbing. So, I mean, this is just huge, man. It's huge. It's huge for multiple reasons. One, it very obviously demonstrates a further narrowing of the gap between men and women in climbing. Two, it cements Janja's ability on rock, actually makes what we already kind of knew to be true an actual tangible fact. And three, actually demonstrates a whole new side of Janja that we have never seen before. And a side that I believe is incredibly important and that I'll actually get into more detail right after I get into the actual nitty-gritty of bibliography as a route itself. So, before I get into how big of a deal this is, the best way to properly understand that is to understand just how hard bibliography actually is. So this was bolted back in 2009-ish, I believe, by Ethan Pringle. It's a route that's just to the right of the ultra mega famous Biography, or I guess Realization, which is the first route to ever receive a consensus 9A plus 515A. By the way, Biography / Realization has two names because Chris Sharma, who did the first ascent, didn't realize that in France, where both of these routes are located, it's common practice that the person who bolts a route the one who gets to give it a name, not the first ascensionist the way it is in the US. So Chris Sent never actually proposed a grade, hilariously enough called the thing Realization, and then everyone in France had a freaking conniption over it. Fun bit of history, not ultimately important or consequential right now. Anyways, so bibliography. This route received a whole bunch of attention over the years. It was tried by the likes of Sharma himself, by Dave Graham, even by Jakob Schubert, but none of them were able to put the whole thing together until Alex Megos did so in 2020. Alex at the time proposed 9C, the current hardest grade in the world, 515D, same grade as Silence, but the grade didn't take. A little bit less than a year after the first ascent, Stefano Ghisolfi would take 25 sessions to clip the chains and would cite new beta for the first and second cruxes, as well as how quickly he managed to put together the route as his reasoning for bibliography, deserving to get it downgraded to 9B plus 515C. This is something that Megos would ultimately agree with after some thought, and it's the grade that every subsequent ascensionist has taken since. Those ascensionists are a pretty freaking short list. They're Alex Megos with the FA, Stefano Ghisolfi with the second, Sean Bailey with the third, Seb Bouin with the fourth, Jorge Diaz-Rubio with the fifth, and now the one and only Janja Garnbret with the sixth ascent. Now, I'm not entirely sure how quickly Janja was able to put this thing together. We know that the fastest ascent is Sean Bailey's with 24 sessions, that it took Stefano 25, and that it took both Jorge and Alex about 60. I don't know how quickly Seb Bouin did it, but I'm assuming that it's very likely both he and Janja's time lies somewhere in between the 30 to 60 mark. Okay, yeah, quick couple things that I realized as I'm editing over here. One, I completely forgot to mention the fact that Janja started working bibliography back in August 2024. So that makes it 2 years of her doing this route. I keep referencing the fact that I think that she did this very quickly, and despite the fact that she took 2 years, I still believe that that is the case. 2 years of work in order to become the second woman to ever send 9B plus. It's actually not that much. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. Also, I'm going to continue mentioning that she's done this very, very quickly. Anytime that I do so, I am doing so within the context of this season. So she did it very quickly within this season. Just wanted to say that. Yeah, back to the video. Usually that sort of stuff isn't really important, but in Janja's case, It actually is. Like, it really, really, really is. See, okay, the thing with Janja working bibliography, it's not that anyone doubted that she was strong enough to actually send the route in the first place. Most people basically assumed that she was and never even doubted that fact. What was doubtful was if she would actually be good enough at projecting to be able to put the whole thing together. See, if you know a lot about climbing or have done it for long enough, you know that projecting is a totally independent skill. The ability to get to a route or a boulder, spend session after session, sometimes literal years, devoted to finding microbeta for certain moves, learning how to be as efficient as possible, putting together the pieces of an incredibly complex puzzle, all while being both patient enough and having the belief that you'll eventually be able to put everything together. That's something that you need to learn how to do. And coincidentally, it's also not something that is needed for most comp climbing, which is Janja's specialty. Not only Janja's specialty, but actually something that Janja has done almost exclusively throughout her climbing career. It's really not that hard to see why. What's needed from comp climbers is to put things together insanely quickly, right? Literally 4 minutes max if you're bouldering, 5 if you're sport climbing. It's incredibly different to the, for example, 4 years, 240 sessions that Jorge Díaz-Rullo took or devoted to Café Colombia. Plus also, like, let's not forget that the approach to the cliff at Seus is like an uphill hour-long hike. Like, you really gotta be a certain kind of person to happily walk up a hill 59 times just to get your ass whooped on one of the hardest routes in the world and still somehow find the motivation to get up there for your 60th. Like, if I was one of those people who'd sent, I'd be happy I did it, sure, but I think I'd mostly be happy I wouldn't have to freaking hike up that stupid hill anymore. So, whatever. The question was, would Janja, who by her own admission was not actually great at projecting because it was something out of her comfort zone, because it wasn't something she had done a lot of, and because she's also a very impatient person, be able to take the time that's needed to put something that hard together? And that's exactly what she did. Which to me, honestly, that's what makes this ascent so insanely freaking significant. Not just because it's such an incredibly high grade, second hardest grade in the entire world as of this moment, not just because she became the second woman to ever climb that hard, but because it's the unlocking of a side of Janja that we have never ever even seen before. To literally quote her directly from her Instagram post, "More than a grade, this feels like a personal victory over an old mindset." To me, this ascent reads like the key that's unlocked like all of outdoor climbing for her. Because if she's done the climb, that she's kept at it, she's taken time away from her comp goals to dedicate to this thing, it means that she must have actually enjoyed the process itself. At least likely that she has. And if she enjoyed the process itself, well, that means that what little of outdoor Janja we have seen, which was limited by like single sessions or even single attempts, has basically been set free. Like, okay, if what we've seen before, where Janja sent Bugeleisen in like 30 minutes and Dreamtime in a single session, both of which are 8CV15 boulder problems, where, she also flashed Puro Dreaming in a style that's widely considered 9A/14D, if that was a Janja chained down by her inability to project, the Janja we're about to see let loose on the world of real rock is going to be a literal freaking monster. I don't know about it. She just did this thing so freaking quickly. I really hope that she goes back to La Duradura if she can. I know she was trying that a while back, but maybe this new mindset will unlock something more in her. It's certainly a totally different feeling to what we see with comp climbing, for sure. That or maybe she'll start working one of the 9C 515Ds. I doubt she'll try silence because it's just so weird. I don't think it suits anyone other than maybe Adamandra, but yeah, who knows? Maybe Big or DNA or something like that. I'd be so freaking stoked to see that. Though, to be fair, I do also think that she's probably going to take some time to train for the upcoming Olympics, and the competition's been actually getting pretty damn stiff. So, pretty rad. We'll see what happens. Anyways, just absolutely massive congratulations to Janja Garnbret. Total GOAT move to send a route this hard. Incredibly impressive to get past those mental blocks. I genuinely cannot wait for a video or a movie or whatever to come out. I really hope one does. But yeah, let's move on.
Holy shit.
All right, so just gonna quickly announce here that I'm not gonna be talking about the World Climbing Series today. Huge things happened this weekend. A couple people made like history, like very, very big history. I will be doing so, covering all of it in the next video coming by the end of the week. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you have not and want to hear more about it. I'm still not super happy about the way I've been covering comps lately, so if there's anything you guys want me to cover or anything you'd like me to get into or some sort of way that you would like me to do so, please let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, let's move on because we have a ton of other sport climbing to get into. Okay, so I don't think it's necessarily crazy to say that if we're talking about who the greatest outdoor sport climbing woman in the world is, that person is probably Laura Rogora, right? Like, I know Brooke sent one single harder route, and I literally just talked about Janja doing the same thing. But I mean, Laura's numbers, despite that fact, despite not having sent that hard, are just completely on a different freaking level. And she just kind of went full cray-cray with an absolutely ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous, single weekend Ticklist. Okay, yeah, stopping this video yet again, because in my rush to get things out for Janja, I completely missed that Laura has actually also sent another 9A called Hades on her third go. So before I even get into like the weekend Ticklist, she has on top of everything also added another 9A. I should probably put up a photo that you'll be seeing right now. Anyways, back to the video. Can we talk about this shit? Like, seriously, it's a single post on Instagram that's so freaking nonchalant. It makes me want to be, you know, super freaking chalant. Like, this is the Ticklist. Listen, Affinità Elettiva 9A+, 515A, her freaking 12th of the grade. 12th. 12th. I feel like I'm not making it clear how ridiculous this is. Laura has 12 at the grade. Second most is a tie between Margot Hayes and Anak Verhoeven. You want to know how many they have on their Ticklist? 3. Laura Rogora has 4 times as many 9A plus sends as any other woman in the world, and she still takes time to freaking compete in World Cups. It's mind-blowing. But okay, I gotta keep the Ticklist from the weekend going, so if doing a 9A plus, which is already an insane feat by anyone, wasn't enough, she's also gone ahead and done Absinthium 9A 514D on her second freaking go. A reminder, everyone was freaking out about Janja basically flashing 9A not too long ago, so at least somewhat comparable. She also sent Attraverso lo Specchio 8C 514B on her second go, flashed Wrangler 8B/plus, which is 13D/14A, and then on-sighted Tinnitus 8C. People, okay, there are only 4 women who have ever on-sighted 8C 514B. Those women are Kaisa Rosen, a name some of you older viewers of the Eric Carlson bouldering show might be happy to recognize, who has done so once, Chaehyun Seo, who has done so 3 times, Janja, of course, who has done so 4 times, and then Laura, who has done so 8 fucking times. And she's also the only woman to on-site 8C+. She's done so twice and is one of only 7 people in the history of climbing to have ever done so. And in doing so twice is one of only 3 people in the history of climbing to have ever done so, alongside Adam Ondra and Alex freaking Magos. That's it. It's those 3. That's it. Why do I feel like I'm the only person that's freaking out about this chick? Like, it's like I'm taking crazy pills or something. It's not a normal Ticklist for a woman, for a man, for any single person, species, whatever in the world ever. It's completely, absolutely insane. I don't know, man. Like, what do you guys think? Like, is it safe to say that it's safe to say that Janja is the GOAT of competition climbing, but is not having sent 9B+ enough to take Laura out of the running for being the current best on rock? I don't know, I can't tell. Let me know what you guys think. Next, and even more news out of Seouz. Craig's been freaking busy. And honestly, it's kind of a bummer for me personally, because it means the dude in question is seemingly done with bouldering for the time being, which is, I was really enjoying that. But Stefano Ghisolfi just made hilariously quick work of the 9B/15B Ratstaman vibrations, which I'm not going to get into the name. I hate the name. I hate it. It's a pun. It's a cool pun, but just why? Why? It's a classic case of Dr. Malcolming stuff. So concerned with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should. Anyways, 12th 9B For one of the most prolific sport climbers on the planet, Stefano did what seemingly is a really hard 9B in just 8 sessions. So, like, this thing denied Sharma, it's denied Seb Bouin. Megos thought it was hard for 9B, and Yannick Floé and his, oh, look at me, I'm so German, I'm too honest to downgrade everything. He went and gave it a slash grade. 9B/plus, so 15B/C. Kind of like a half upgrade. So, a little bit imprecise for Germany, but it is whatever. But the thing is freaking hard is what I'm trying to get at. Also, yes, I just said 8 sessions, but really it is more like 6. He gave this thing 2 sessions back in 2022 when it was still a project, and now put it together in 6. So it's 8 with an asterisk, and a pretty goddamn big one at that. Basically, it seems he took about 6 days to work out the moves and refine all the sequences before devoting 2 total days of red point. Almost managed to send on day 7, and apparently bleeding all over the freaking place by day 8. Like seriously, that's a lot of blood. Like, dude, look at his pants. If it weren't for the 3rd photo, I might honestly be concerned that this dude could generally be dead. But I mean, oh, look at how happy he is. I don't know Stefano personally, but god damn it, there's something about him that makes me want to just like pat him on the head and tell him he's a good boy. That was weird. Okay, whatever. Huge congrats to Stefano. 12 9Bs is a pretty huge deal. Doing it with the flapper to end all flappers is insane. I can't help but wonder if he gave Janja some beta, since both Bibliographie and Ratstaman are both in Seus, different sectors, I believe, but still Seus is Seus. Anyways, awesome. Let's move on to Pepa Sindel, who just sent Clash of the Titans in Gotterwandel, Austria, and for which he has suggested the 9B 15B grade. So before I get into Pepa's whole experience on the climb, Clash of the Titans is an Alexander Megos FA from nearly 10 years ago, first done in 2017 as a 9A plus 15A. It was repeated by Jakob Schubert some 5 years later, and Jakob actually upgraded the whole thing to 9B, which is the same grade that Pepa has currently decided to take. And now this is Pepa's first ever 9B, and his breakdown of the route is pretty freaking simple. 8B/8B plus, so 13D/14A route into a bad rest, and then followed by a more or less 8B/plus or 13/14 boulder problem. And not for nothing, but Jakob Schubert commented on his post that this particular one was very hard for him. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that 9B makes quite a bit of send, and Megos is just kind of a little sandbagging asshole, isn't he? So 5 trips in total for Pepa, spanning across 2 seasons and more than 50 falls, a route for which he says he couldn't do most of the moves on the crux the first time he even pulled on, which is kind of a big lesson in and of itself if you're new to climbing. Many times for something to be truly limit means you can't even do the moves on it at first, and then you learn them over time. Pepa couldn't do the last move of the crux, apparently a really hard move from an undercling, and he took 2 years to put everything together. So Janja's learning, we're all learning, Pepa's learning. It's actually kind of normal, which is maybe a little crazy, but we're also all the kind of people who enjoy literally trying to climb freaking rocks in the woods for no reason other than they're there. So kind of comes with the territory, I guess. Anyways, this is basically his prize for coming back from a 2.5-month break from climbing, which he had to take after getting multiple fatigue fractures in one of his fingers. So I don't really get it. Like, when I get injured, I come back feeling so much worse, but when some pros do, I mean, I just look at Pepa and in this case, Noah and Burden just 4 months after a pulley rupture. Like, there are tons of other examples of the same thing happening. It's weird. Very weird. Or maybe not, I don't know. Natalia Grossman's probably going to do some crazy shit when she gets back from injury too. I really hope that she does. Anyways, big congrats to Pepa for his send. Cool to see someone so young doing hard stuff. Kid's only 18. Just following along in Adam Ondra's footsteps a little bit. Really only saying that because they're both Czech. Anyways, let's move on. Next, and off we go to the big ol' US of A, where Cameron Horst has put together his biggest project yet. This is Big Bone, a route developed by the one and only Joe Kinder, who has been genuinely working his ass off for years, developing entire areas and caves and things. He and Cam have been putting this thing together for the past few years, and Cam has just managed to click the chains on a red point go. In other words, he FA'd this bad boy. So here's what we know. First, Cam says he's not the strongest or most physically gifted climber in the world, but he works his ass off. There's a theme in today's freaking show. Work your ass off and keep doing stuff, and eventually your project will get sent, I suppose. Yes, let's say that that's the case. Anyways, as I said, first, dude works his ass off. Second, while he and Joe have apparently been thinking that Big Bone would eventually be 9B, 515B, to have refined and reworked this thing to death basically so much over the years, Cam is now convinced that it's actually not that hard, and it's more like very high-end 9A plus 15A. Now, there's not all that much to add here other than the fact that it seems that Cam has wanted to make it clear that this thing took 4 years, which is insane. Dedication, see? Back to the theme. And also, I shit you not, he has basically stated that the real send is the friendship he made along the way with Joe Kinder. Like, yeah, I'm making fun of it because it's kind of it's cheesy as hell, but I actually totally feel that. If I were working the same route with the same person for 4 years that I didn't know at first, they'd probably end up becoming a real close friend of mine too. Hell, that's like 90% of the freaking relationships that I have from climbing. Practically the only person for whom that's not the case is my wife, who does not like climbing, ironically. Like, at all. Anyways, big congrats to Cam for sending the route, to Joe Kinder for making friends, and also for developing awesome stuff in a cool cave. Let's move on. Next, we got Seb Bouin with a pretty cool FA, a route he's called Les Plumes de Calcaire, I think. Not sure how to pronounce the second C. I'm forgetting all of my French, man. This is a problem. But anyways, he's proposed 9A plus 15A. Yet another interesting looking hard limestone line, overhung, pinches, probably a pocket or two. We've seen him before, you know how it goes. Seen them all. Seb's been wanting to put something up on this side of the cliff in Pic Saint-Loup, and so he bolted this thing apparently about a year ago or so. Breakdown sounds hard as hell, and I'm honestly just gonna quote it directly, because I'm lazy. The route starts with a physical 8A style intro featuring big dynamic moves, followed by a 7C plus boulder problem, a good rest, and then the famous 8A boulder section on pinches. To finish climbing this beautiful wall, there's still a demanding 4-move 7B plus boulder problem. This part is both extremely intense and very endurance-based. To finish the route, you join Elie au Pays des Merveilles, with the difficulty of that section being around 8B. Elix, or Elie, I don't really know. Probably Elix. Of course, that's the one route that was flashed by Jules Marchelin not too long ago, which means, I don't know, are we about to get a rare repeat of a Seb Bouin route? Maybe? Possibly? Why have, basically none of his routes ever been repeated? Seriously, he's got, I don't know how many 9A plus FAs. Some of those have been done by people, but any of his stuff that's just a little bit harder? Nope, not a single one. 11 9Bs, a 9B plus, and a 9C. Not a one been repeated. It's wild. It's weird. It's notable. It's very, very notable. I don't know. I don't think it really means anything other than he's probably been sandbagging the absolute living shit out of absolutely everything. Congratulations to Seb Bouin. Let's move on. Next, and one that I can't really give much info other than apparently there were scary cows underneath this particular route at some point. Cows can be scary. Jen Wood has just managed to send a Climb for Life, a 9A route in Sicily. Now, I've unfortunately just not had the time for now to reach out to Jen for much info. All I really have to go off of is her Instagram post where she says that her mom encouraged her to go and keep trying it despite the scary cows. Kind of glad she did. 9A is not nothing. But yeah, 9A 514D for Jen Wood, if I'm not mistaken, not only the first of the grade for her, but also just totally skipping past 8C+. Her hardest send previously being 6 8C 14B routes. So yeah, it's incredible stuff from Jen. Huge congratulations on the send, and that's about it, man. Jesus, this episode has been almost exclusively sport climbing, and I hate it. I need some bouldering in my life. I'm gonna move on. But hey, that was some climbing news as always. Thank you so much for watching. Apologies that I've only been doing this on a weekly basis, especially last week, which I completely missed, instead of bi-weekly. I will continue doing better, hopefully. I've just been super busy lately. As always, just a reminder to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff if you have not done so. Please have a great week. I will see you when I see you for a summary of the World Series in Prague and for a much needed look into all the hard boulders that have been sent these past few weeks. But until then, of course, and as always, go climb some stuff.